my powerful people, and welcome back to my channel, Purple RX. I'm Renata, your friendly and resourceful PharmD, if you have not been here to help you navigate this health and wellness world with all this vast information to figure out what's for you, because everything is not for you, and you are not for everything. And that is okay, but we're gonna figure out how to get through it. So I got caught up in the internet the last few days. You probably can tell because my videos are on a different trajectory. They're not so set in Mineral Mondays and Weed Wednesdays. I got a little off track, but these are things that I felt are important discussions and things to think about in our healthcare from both sides, from every side, because our country, our world is in a position right now that has been so different, and we have not encountered this in maybe even 100 years since the Spanish flu. So this is going to be something very hard, very trivial, and very different. And I would thought we have helped. I would have thought we had progressed to handle it better, but it does not seem that way. And it seems as though a lot of people are hurt right now, and that is understandable. A lot of people are hurt. They're tired, worn out. There's so much. A lot of people can't handle all this death. They can't handle the news of all these people dying. And not alone with people just in COVID, but some people are dying due to other things. Of maybe it is their time. Maybe they were sick in other things. Maybe they were older in age and it was just the moment, and it's just happened at such an auspicious time, and such a time where everybody is going through so much and dealing with those through so much, and not just the loss of people, but the loss of jobs, dealing with family, no longer dealing with people, finding that family isn't, some family or some friends weren't the people that you thought they were, and sometimes that's okay. And this can be a very hard time, and our anger and our hurt and our pain can come out in so many ways that are very unhealthy, and that may hurt other people in the long run rather than hurt ourselves. So there was a lot of things I was looking at, and I was looking at a lot of people's comments, especially in a system where it's like, if you don't trust our healthcare, why are you going to the hospital? If you don't trust this, that, and this, blah, 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 blah. Trust and sometimes doing things is not always synonymous. Like I said, this is an auspicious time. This is a different time. And to box it up and to box everybody up into a group, if you don't believe in the vaccine, you don't need to be going to the hospital. If you don't believe in this, you need to be going. You don't need to do this. If you believe in no mask, you don't need to do this, that, and this. A lot of people, again, are speaking out of hurt. They are speaking out of pain. They are speaking out of fear. And fear could kill you before anything else will. It'll kill you through anxiety. It'll kill you through acting very irrational and hurting other people and not even knowing. So a lot of people are talking out of fear. And a trust in a healthcare system, one, we have to be real about ourselves. This is an unprecedented time because this is a virus that some people have not seen, or they've only seen parts of it, or it's moving in a direction that they didn't expect it to go. And you cannot sit here and say, I know the trajectory of exactly what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. Especially in this situation. This virus is showing its ass and telling you that ain't what it's going to work. This is not the answer. This is not the only answer. This, I can get through that. I can do this. It's some things that we are not seeing. And what you also have to remember, trust in healthcare can be hard, especially in situations like this. Trust in healthcare is not easy. You got to think about it. Sometimes you can be in the system and not trust parts of the system. Maybe parts of the system, and just because parts of the system makes you question does not mean you don't trust the system. Our system, if you want to be honest and truthful, it needs to change. There are a lot of holes in the system. There are a lot of one-sided ways in the system. There is a lot of money over actual health in this system, and actually the health and well-being of its people. Money has been more important in our healthcare system rather than the well-being of the masses and of the people. Health should not have been such a struggle for so many people. Getting regular help should be for any and everybody, and it should be accessible to any and everybody. And in our country, in the United States, it's not that. We have a lot of things that we need to change in our healthcare, and those are nothing but truths and facts, in discrimination, in how we treat people, and how we see things. Because it's okay to question. We are human beings. We should question. Questioning the status quo allows us to think outside the box. It allows us to see things fuller. It allows us to explain and teach people and get people to understand things. That is the point of questions. If you don't ask questions, what is the point? You're not learning anything. You're missing out. You're just going with whatever somebody told you. And for people to be fearful and question and maybe not trust an answer because you say one thing and then another thing happens. Like, for instance, you say that whenever we take this shot, that everything will go back to what it was before. And putting out that message was harmful. Or putting out a message of having it or not having it was harmful. And it's hard to build trust when you're building one side and saying one side is greater than the other. It's hard to build trust when you're giving part of the information, or really not even being honest and saying, I don't know. Because in healthcare, it's okay to say, I don't know. It is okay. We shouldn't be ashamed of saying, I don't know. Because the thing is, it takes time, it takes discovery, it takes understanding. And trying to rush and push something is hard for a lot of people. Trying to trust in something that came so quickly, that is very hard for a lot of people to grasp. And for other people who have gotten their shot or haven't gotten their shot or believe in this 100% and are ready to go, it is very undermining for you to sit here and be like, well, you're stupid if you don't. Well, if you don't believe in that, you don't need to go to the hospital. You got to remember, them people pay taxes for this hospital. They pay taxes or they pay money in some way for hospitals, drugs, whatever is going on. That's their choice and their money. Just because I don't believe something you're saying does not mean everything's thrown out the window. So we have to stop putting people in categories. And I get it. A lot of people are saying this out of anger and out of hurt. A lot of people are saying this out of anger and out of hurt because their family members who have cancer or who have issues are being pushed out of hospital, are being pushed away and put to the side. And that in and of itself is discrimination. And it should not be in these situations. But also in this situation, it's an unprecedented time. So many people aren't in the healthcare industry anymore. They've quit even before COVID, during COVID, or now these vaccine laws. So you're dealing with not so much just hospital beds. It's so much more of people not being worn out and worn down. Everybody is beat up from this. And this is not a end all be all. If you get the vaccine, that will fix it. It can't be that way. And you can't think of it that way because let's look at examples over in the UK and Ireland. Right now, they just put something out and I'll have to go find the article for you, but I do have a doctor who is discussing it. I think it was Dr. Mondi. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on his name because I had to go back and look. And he explained, he's a doctor in the UK and he was like, right now, people who have taken the vaccine, the hospitals are full of 46% of the people are vaccinated people. So how does that make you feel? How can you look at this and say, getting this will be right for you and you and you? There's so much more to this story and so much that's not being told, so much that's not being put out there, or so much that's not being promoted, which should be promoted along with this. This shouldn't be a one size fits all kind of thing. Medicine is not a one size fits all. Again, if you've seen my other videos, how I treat you may not be the exact way I treat this patient. How I see things for you is the exact way. And as healthcare professionals, we should be here to subside those issues. We should be here to explain so somebody can get out of the fear and make a logical decision. Because honestly, this is up to somebody making the best decision for them. I can't tell you what's the best decision for me because the thing about it is what is showing me is whether you've had the shot or not, those people are affecting other people, and the people who's had it can go around asymptomatic and still spread it. Maybe not as the viral load is a little bit lower, but it's still a spread because it's asymptomatic. And it still gives the virus a chance to live, breed, and grow stronger. So there are a lot of things that we are not speaking about and looking around. And don't just look at America. Look at other countries. Look at other countries that are not third world countries. Other countries like UK, Ireland, other countries like New Zealand, or maybe not New Zealand. They're a different outlier. But other countries like Singapore. Singapore has gotten into this is an endemic. We're going to have to live with this. And this is how we're going to have to live. And we need to make practices to understand how are we to live with this? What is the best thing to say and to do for people to live in this? And you know what is actually giving a full scope of what can help. Because also what puts distrust in people's head and in this healthcare system is sometimes when you're just pushing one way, there's no alternative, no other alternative. And maybe people have tried that way and that way has been harmful for them or harmful for a family member. Everybody wants to talk about everything, and just like somebody pointed out, Governor Abbott, he's got a vaccine. He's been vaccinated. He might be going around in that mask, but he's been vaccinated, asymptomatic, tested positive. He over here getting monoclonal antibodies quick because he's scared. He may put out the things he is, but he's scared. He's scared of both things because they feel that there is a control issue here of people not having freedom of speech. And then there's an issue of people not being able, a main issue of people not being able to do what they want to do. So everybody's fear is different and he's protected himself. So this again is not a one-sided, one box fits all. So think about that. When y'all are out here telling people what they need to do, what they don't need to do, how they need to do it and what's harming us and what's not, this is not a black and white and everything's not going to be fixed in one way. There are so many factors that are going on that contribute to why there's so many more hospitalizations, even with people vaccinated. Because somebody even on Instagram, he spoke on it, and he's somebody that's into the community and looking at statistics and looking at what things affected. And he was talking about the environment. I guess what it's called, they don't call it Cancer Alley, but it's called Cancer Alley between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And a lot of those people have gotten vaccinated and had no problem getting vaccinated, but they're being hospitalized because they're within issues of maybe they're exposed to more environmental dangers than you are. And maybe we're not realizing the things that they're at around them need to change. The way we do oil and gas and all those chemicals needs to change. There's a lot more that's compounded on this that needs to change. Why aren't we putting out information of you need to eat right? These are things you need to add into your diet. These are things that are so important. That should be pushed just as much because some people have more access to food than medication. Actually, that's a lie. Sometimes medication is more free than some of this food that they can get. Being healthy can be expensive. Eating healthy can be expensive, which it should not be. God gave us this, and we gotta struggle to eat right because of what's in our access in our neighborhoods and what we're exposed to and what we're taught that we got the last of shit. And especially in the Black community, we get the last of shit, excuse my language, we get the last, and we have to deal and make a meal out of that and make a palatable meal out of that. That's what we've been taught. So that's what we know from generation to generation. From generation to generation, we've had distrust in our healthcare system because our healthcare system experimented on us and used us. Maybe not the Tuskegee, what was it? Not an experiment. Now they've come out and said that it was actually, which I don't know why they didn't do this at the beginning. They came out and said that the Tuskegee experiment wasn't an actual experiment, but syphilis was high in that community and they were actually helping that community. Okay, that's great. But there's been other experiments with Black women and the skulls and making sure and killing and abusing people. So what do you think? That abuse is just not going to go away by saying you take this and this and you can trust me. But in many times I have not been honest with you. In many times, and I get it, it's not just a community now. They're doing a whole population. Shoot, there was even an article or a book written about how you can deceive with statistics. Statistics can be deceiving if you don't know statistics. Statistics can be real deceiving, especially with what picture are you trying to make with statistics. You can make just a simple picture with statistics and leave some information out and not have certain information in there. So we have to be careful of trying to ridicule people, of trying to tell people they're wrong or they're this or they're that or they need to get with the game or anything. That's not compassion. That's not thought. I get you're tired. I get you're frustrated within my community in healthcare. And I get those people who are tired of being in this pandemic and dealing with the shit they got to deal with because everybody got some shit. God is shaking a whole bunch of shit up so that we can see that things aren't just black and white and things aren't just one way or the other or you're right or you're wrong. Some things maybe this is better for somebody than others. Look at really what's going on in the full picture. Not just what media tells you, but go out there and see. There are real studies. The study I found the other day where on a study of over 500,000 patients, 94.9% of them were in there because of anxiety or fear, or in there because of obesity, hyperlipidemia, diabetes, and issues such as that due to the fact, and that's why they were hospitalized and it was severe. And that was on the CDC website, but they're not really putting that out. They know comorbidities make it worse, but they're not really trying to reiterate these are important things that you need to do. Because it takes a lot more because now you have to change neighborhoods where food is important. Now you have to change neighborhoods and give people who haven't had access and fix food deserts. So there is a whole lot more to this conversation, and this isn't going to go away. We're going to have to live with this, but we need to know what message we're putting out. And it also scares people when you're just pushing one thing. You got to get this. I'll give you $1 million to get this. That's bribery. You're getting into bribery. That's making it weird for a lot of people, and that's making a lot of people fearful and scary. Even more scared of not wanting to be a part of this. And don't be like, well, they're just trying to convince people. That is weird. This nation has never convinced people like that. And now all of a sudden it just wants to throw everything at everybody. And then the thing is, the food they were throwing food, but the food was not even a healthy meal. It was just some fast food meal. It wasn't like a bag of groceries from Whole Foods or something. No. So we have to be careful with just because how we see it does not how everybody else is going to see it. And we have to understand that way they see it. Understand what their history, understand what they're going through, and get what they're going through in order for us to see their point of view. It maybe even allows us to have more empathy and understanding and consideration in how we speak to each other. Because the way y'all speaking to each other ain't good. It ain't helping nobody. It's not making this any better. It's making it more divided and more divisive. We were already trying to kill the divisiveness in the beginning, but it's just made it even more divisive. Everybody in this corner, and no longer is it black people, white people, or minority and majority now, or just racism. That's a part of it. But now it's vaccinated or unvaccinated. It's like, why are we putting each other into one category or the other? And if you're better if you're in this category and not if you're in that category. Or you're beneath me if you're in that category. And politics had a lot to do with that. They had a lot to do with that, and they've pushed some things that they should not have pushed that were not going to be healthy to fix this whole situation, this whole pandemic. So please, have empathy. See things from other people's point of view. Don't get me wrong, some people are going to have some crazy outlandish things. That doesn't mean you have to see or agree with everything. Having empathy or compassion does not mean I have to agree with everything you do or everything you say is exactly on point or exactly right. That's not how it's supposed to be presented. But the whole point is to see them and see that person or see that person's point of view and get an understanding. Okay, I can't really fully see that, but I get there's a fear in you. But when your fear is so loud, it's hard to identify somebody else's fear. So y'all just fighting head to head, thinking y'all have a point and one point's better than it, but it's really fear just taking over and making y'all act crazy, and y'all can't even come together. So please, please, be considerate of one another. Be loving of one another. And if it's too much, get off. Don't be on social media. If it's too much, get off the news. Get off the news and get to you. Focus on you, because when you start focusing on this disease and this going on and that going on, you're going to get caught up in it, and your fear is going to grow even worse. Your fear is going to get even bigger. And you have been put on this earth to do something bigger, but you have to see that. So get off these people. Get into you. Have peace and quiet with you. Have some time with you, and that'll help you get rid of and through these fears and get into do whatever you're supposed to do. Because some of y'all are just, in these comments, distracted by something when there's a whole lot more things going on you just have not seen or paid attention to. So that's all the time I have for today. Thank you guys for coming with me and joining me on this Wednesday. I'll probably get back to my regular schedule next week, or you never know. I just may go with something else or have something else on my mind and put it out to you guys. Thank you guys. You guys have a nice day. And remember, everything is not for you, and you aren't for everything. So please go out there and have that love, compassion, and consideration for other people. Thank you. Bye.